How's it going, guys? So my name's Laurence. I'm one of the pastors here. I guess I've been serving for, oh yeah, Mandy's putting on the stopwatch. Since there's two of us, it is a big deal that we keep track of the time so that we do not go for a whole hour. Hopefully not even close to an hour. You guys are freaking out with that. But yeah, I'm Laurence. I'm one of the pastors here.
I'm Mandy. This is like my first time up here this year to share with you, so I'm excited. I don't even think I preached last year, so I'm a little rusty, but I'm a pastor here. I love you guys so much. And tonight, we get to talk about our favorite topic, dating.
It's true. It's true. So we're in a series. It's called Relationships, the Bible, and the BS We All Believe. So we're kind of hitting on some of these core different relationships in our lives. So Brandon kicked it off Kylie kicked it off talking about friendship. Brandon last week talked about marriage. Highly recommend if y'all missed those to go back and listen to those. But yeah, we're kind of looking at what does Scripture say about these things. And some of these topics like marriage or having children, that's one that'll be coming up in a couple weeks, may not affect all of us personally, but if we're in a Christian community where we're told we all belong to one another, as Romans tells us, then I think these topics are personal to us, right? Because we're going to be friends with people who are maybe raising kids or getting married or things like that. So it's kind of our vision here.
Yeah, so tonight, like I said, we're going to be talking about dating. Yay! I love. So I'm really excited to talk about it tonight, actually. So I kind of hope that Laurence and I can kind of make this feel a little bit different. I'm very conversational in my style. And so I told him he's here, I think, because they knew I would go rogue on y'all if I was left to do this by myself. And there's no telling how long or what I might say. So, he's here to keep us on track. But I really do hope it's a conversational kind of vibe for y'all. Both of us have mentored a lot of students over a lot of years now. So dating is something we've talked and spent hours and hours talking about and thinking about and watching. And then both of us have also seen these dating relationships turn into marriages and families and all of that. So as we start tonight, I just pray that this really just gets you thinking
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about dating. This is just the beginning, hopefully, of the conversation. And I think the one thing I want to say up front before we take a deep dive into this is if you take away one thing tonight, one of the biggest things I want you to take away is just to get lots and lots of advice in your life.
Yeah.
Um, because you're not going to remember a lot of what we share tonight or what has been shared. Hopefully this kind of forms your thinking some. But through life, a wise person does seek out wise counsel. And I don't think advice has to be like, I have some big problem, so I'm going to go to Laurence and be like, Laurence, solve my problem for me. No, like it can just be like, let's live life together. Laurence, hey, I'm going to go do this afternoon and hang out with this person. Can you think of something I should ask about? It can be
Mm-hmm.
simple things, so take that from this. So, my other thing I wanted to share as we kick it off is just that dating is so hard to talk about in a group this size. I thought of 3 reasons, so I'm going to share those with you. One, I just think a lot of us think we know a lot about dating. We already know a lot, so why come here and listen to us talk about it? Second, romantic love is something our culture loves to talk about. And so all of us think that we have different ideas about that based on books we've read, movies we've watched, music we listen to. By the way, music. One day, just sit down and read out loud the lyrics of the songs y'all listen to. I really wanted to do that. I want to publicly rebuke Ariana for Ought to Go. I have no so many different experiences and backgrounds about this. Some of you have dated a lot, some of you a little, and some of you honestly probably would rather not think about it. So we just ask tonight that you would just sit and listen and just think about some of the things that we talk about tonight. Even if you aren't in a place to date, like Laurence said a minute ago, this is something people around you will be doing, and you need to have good wisdom to share. So, other thing, and then I'll let Laurence talk. See, I warned you.
It's okay.
Honestly,
I'm ready for it.
this topic is something that we overplanned because we have so much that we want to share. So, in advance, I just want to ask you to have a lot of grace for us because there really is so much to say, and we had to cut so much out. So, with that, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So, I'm going to jump down to here. I'm already cutting my stuff. So, first things first, one of the things we wanted to say is from a lot of the conversations I feel like we've had recently, there's a number of people who are maybe not interested or on going on dates for a variety of reasons. But probably the sentiment I hear the most, and you guys don't say it like this, but I think behind what you say is, that sounds terrifying. I'm afraid of that. I don't want to do, like most of the conversations I've had about dating since COVID have kind of gone like this, like, are you interested in getting married at some point? Yeah, definitely. Why don't you go on a date with someone then? Oh, I'm not interested right now. It's like this instantly like back, oh, no. Well, when do you plan on getting around to that? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I don't have a plan. I'm just, not right now. Let's think about that later. After I graduated, after I get a master's, later, at some point in the future. But yeah, it seems like there's a lot of fear and anxiety wrapped up all in this.
Man, Laurence moves so much faster than I could. I'm like, wow, he cut a whole page, y'all. A whole page. I do. I see the same thing. I think there is a lot of fear. Some of you don't even want people to know when you're going on dates, or when you like somebody, or you don't want to tell your parents. You don't want to, I don't know, there's just so much fear around it. So I was just thinking, like, back in my day, and I thought that was so funny to me, but I just remember, like, when I was in high school, I don't know what high school was like for y'all, but you always knew who liked each other because they made it obvious. Like, once you liked somebody, that's who you hung out with, and you would hold hands walking down the hall and be like, some people would make out in the hall and all. Don't do that, okay? I don't want y'all, going there. But it might be okay just to be interested in somebody and talk about it. Maybe you can just let somebody know, and then, start getting advice about it. And I just want to free you up to say, like, it's okay to talk about. Talk about who you're interested in, especially with a trusted mentor, and not have fear in that fear of being embarrassed or anything. So I don't know how you feel. It was just kind of an observation.
Yeah.
And then, again, get advice. Get advice.
It's true.
So why is dating so terrifying? I think that often we really do feel insecure about ourselves. So somewhere deep down, we're kind of scared that no one would really love me. Well, let's just stop right there, because sometimes I think that's just self-protection. I think sometimes if we say we're unlovable, then I don't have to worry about a sudden this week she got MS, or she was finally diagnosed with MS. She can't walk. She could walk last week this time, but this week this time she can't walk. And person after person has been there for her, loving her, showing up for her, helping her. That's love. She's dearly loved, not because she has a man in her life that's over there. Like, it's not about romance. Those are the deeper, deeper things.
Yeah.
You're dearly loved. But, if that, I think that this eros romantic love is something. If you desire to be married, you have to date to do that, and you've got to feel secure in yourself, in yourself, because you're a dearly loved child of God, not because of anything you did. Um, and so whether or not the romantic love happens, you can be secure because you have something. So I hope that makes sense. Be secure. Don't feel insecure about yourself. So that's the first thing.
I think, oh,
Yeah, if you keep
I'll
going.
jump in. Yeah, the second one, yeah.
You gotta keep rolling.
Gotta keep this train rolling. All right, the second one is we don't want to get hurt or maybe hurt the other person. Mandy alluded to that a little bit. The third one is we've had too much to think. We've spent way too much time in our own heads thinking about the opposite sex and imagining them. And I think porn has also helped kind of rewire our brains in unhealthy ways. But I think we spend too much time thinking and obsessing and no time actually interacting with someone who is made in God's image. And so, yeah, we're so afraid. We have this analysis paralysis. And it's like, no, just go love someone that God made. Just don't be weird. Just go talk to people. It's okay. Don't be weird. You can write that down. That's my best advice. And then the fourth one here is, I think some of us just have such high expectations for marriage and for who we would even consider dating. So we're going to take a pause here, and we're going to watch a video from Bo Burnham. Some of you guys may know him. He's a Christian who is he's almost certainly not a Christian. The video we're going to watch, it does have some spicy language. I have a 3-year-old, so spicy is how we describe things that are kind of bad right now. Told her she was being spicy earlier. So it's got some spicy language. We've bleeped it out, but we're all adults here. But I think he hits on some things. Yeah, we're going to, oh yeah, you want to?
No, it is what it is. So we think it's worth showing. You're all adults.
It'll be good.
We all want love.
All right.
Okay,
You're good.
so hopefully that landed. I really do feel like the the more I talk to young people, he's not even a Christian, I don't think, but he makes observations about things that we still deal with, like the number of people who won't ask someone out because they're not hot enough, not cute enough. I'm not attracted to them. That vein of thinking goes on even here among us. Um, well, and he's right. You're not a 10. So quit looking for a 10 kind of hot person to date. And girls, rom-coms aren't real. They are a romantic comedy. Now, listen, I love a good rom-com. Love it. I am ashamed to say that I did watch Hot Frosty over Christmas break with Caitlin. But yeah, I mean, nothing said. If y'all don't know, it was a Netflix show, and it was about a. I'm so embarrassed. About a hot man that came to life, and she, of course, fell in love with him, and they wound up together. So that's not real, and so dumb. And Hallmark isn't real either. Like, you're not going to go to a small town and find somebody. We really have made up these expectations of someone that we should be with. And obviously, there are certain things that you need to look into someone who you're interested in dating. But the problem is that we look just like the world and we go after all of the wrong things. Instead of thinking of each other as brothers and sisters who are all worthy of, of God's love. They're made in the image of God. You're looking at the same things. You're not looking at the things God does. You're attracted to the wrong things often. And so there's no perfect person out there for you. Remember, they're in your mind, or as he said, they're dead. They died last week. Um, and I just feel like he hit that on the head. So I really do want you to think about that. Like, what are those things that keep you from being even asking someone out? And if it's superficial, like, shame on you.
Love it. So we're going to shift gears from kind of some of the reasons we see people kind of afraid to approach dating to this kind of next topic. And this is some of the ways that we've seen people in our culture date in dumb ways. And I think I'm especially equipped to talk about this because as it's real. It's real. I always tell my guys, I can tell you 1,000 ways how not to date because I've probably done them all. And so back, 12 years ago when I was an apprentice, I was dating another apprentice. And we had a winter retreat. We did like a big dating talk. So picture, there's 500 people in there. And Brandon was doing it he's up there with Garrett. And they're talking about like, here's some of the dumb things we've heard students and people in our community talk about or say, and gives these different examples. And like 3 of 7 of them were things that me and my girlfriend had decided or said to them or something like that. And there's nothing more painful than sitting there in a room full of 500 people and hearing people younger than you laugh at your dumb dating decisions. So again, we can talk specifics later. But yeah, just know I feel you guys.
You're going to talk specifics now, Like, give them a few.
The problem is, on that one, the only one that I remember. Okay. Okay, the only one I remember is for some reason we decided that we were only gonna like text like late at night. Like we were gonna text during the day when you're like alive and awake and can filter. We were gonna text like as we're falling asleep every night. So don't be like me, guys. Okay, so what are some of the dumb ways we've seen people in our culture date? And one of them we kind of called trial periods. So it's either we're just talking.
Trial periods?
Trial periods?
No, trial periods.
Trial periods. All right, we're just talking or we're just hanging out. I think what some of this stuff, like what we're just talking, is really about, I think for some of us it's a fear of rejection or a fear of vulnerability, right? We don't want to make a commitment. We don't want to have to actually jump in or say that we're doing something. We want to just hold everything at arm's length. Because what if they don't like me? Or what if I actually have to make a decision in my life, God forbid?
Well, and in the same vein, I asked our staff, I'm like, what are some things you see in this community that you think is kind of falls into this? It's not trial period exactly, but I'm going to throw it in here. Um, a lot of you will get together and do Bible studies one-on-one together, which sounds so sweet, and it really is. But eventually, when you like start liking each other, and then you never talk about it, and you're just like having these deep, intimate conversations with someone of the opposite sex, and you never talk about like, what are we here? That is kind of a trial run. So
Even
just,
though we're talking for like 3 hour long sessions multiple times a week, we're not dating. This is just what I do with all my guy friends.
yeah, and y'all are
No, you're
having
not. None of you do. Not a single one of y'all are having hours long conversations with your guy friends.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of intense and intimate conversations happening, and yeah, just y'all, just make sure you're having like conversations. You gotta. I think they call that. I think I wrote it later in here, but I've learned the word 2 weeks ago, situationship. So I'm gonna try to use that a lot. I think it becomes a situationship. Is that the correct word, Ariana? Yes. I use that correctly.
Um, yeah, I think this kind of trial, I think sometimes we're afraid to make a decision, and culturally, so I'm from the UK, and like people my age, the norm, and this is like all of my cousins, like they move in together, they have kids, they buy a house, and they're still not married. It's like we're just so afraid to just put a label on it, to like make a decision, to make it official, because maybe if we called it a marriage, it would be too big of a deal, right? I think all of those decisions, arguably things like having kids, is a much bigger deal than just getting married, I would argue. You're bringing way more people into this arrangement. But again, I think some of us don't want to grow up and use big boy words like marriage and dating. I think another thing that I was also very, even us millennials, we struggle with this, that dating happens via text or DM rather than in person, right? So we have this robust conversation that it's only digital. We don't actually meet a real person. And so I think the problem is that we're dating an imaginary, like a projection of who we think they are, if that makes sense, right? Rather than interacting with a real human being. Imaginary people are much hotter than real people, but real people can actually love you back. That's the trade-off. Imaginary people are much hotter than real people, but real people will love you back. You want to do 3? Okay, I'll do it. All right, I wrote some of these ones. So 3 is we have to be in a relationship before we go on a date. So this is like, in order to go on date number 1, like, no, we have to have had, we've been texting for a month or 2 or 3. Like, we've got all our ducks in a row, and we're not even going on date 1 until we've already somehow established a relationship. And I think what I want to say here is, I think that's how high schoolers date. That's how I dated in high school, right? I was telling Mandy, I'm like, how many of you guys even know about this? But AOL Instant Messenger, also known as AIM. Like, this is back when, like, you had cell phones, but no one was really texting. You would just sneak onto the family computer until 4 a.m. and just message your crush, all night long. That was just what we did. But again, I think that, being in a relationship before we go on a date is what high schoolers do. How my adult friends go on dates, like my people who have graduated. I have a lot of, friends that are adults in this camp. What they do is they go on dates to get to know people. Like, just going on a single date doesn't mean that you've committed the rest of your life to this person. It doesn't need to be as intense as I think we're making it into. It can just be a date. And you can go on another date. I was talking to one of my buddies. He just got married, and I had a conversation he was like 2 months in. He'd been going on weekly dates, and I'm like, how is it going? He's like, I feel like we're still getting to know each other, right? This is someone he met through an app. They don't go to church together. It just takes time to get to know each other, and we can let it be okay just casually getting to know each other. Fourth thing is everything is so secret and private. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one that I saw a lot. I just kind of want to beat a dead horse. Like, we just don't get advice from our closest friends and mentors when we're interested in someone, and we just don't call a spade sometimes. Like, we don't. It's just secret, and we kind of have been hanging out over here, and I'm not technically dating, so there's really nothing for me to share. But that's what I mean. Call a spade a spade. You're dating if you spend all that time together. You're on the phone, you're texting, you're doing all those things. So let's go get advice on how to deal with that. So I feel like I'm going to skip ahead.
Cool. That's what I was going to suggest.
We talked a lot about just some of our fears about dating. We talked about a lot of things so far. Some things not to do. But this is kind of the area I really want us to clue into. It's just like, so what should you look for in someone that you're interested in as you're thinking about getting married and who you should date? Um, when I was dating Andrew, or no, before I was dating Andrew, Andrew's my husband. Um, One of the things that I really noticed about him was he let all of the, or at least 2 or 3 guys come and live with him for free because they couldn't afford rent and they needed help. And a lot of them really were just, in my mind, just kind of losers. But he loved them fiercely. I mean, one of them, to be fair, he did bail out of jail and let him come sleep on the couch. And that guy just cooked and cleaned for him for a year, you know? But he let him live there. And he gave so much money away. Like, he never questioned if someone needed something, he was going to give. And I just remember kind of like sitting back and thinking, like, if he will take care of other people and love them, even in my mind when they, weren't being lovely, and just giving so much money away, that's the kind of person that I wanted to be with. And I just found that just so attractive, and it made me kind of look over how, I call it the Andrew show. He's like so like, loud when he's in front of people and things that I didn't like so much. But lower your expectations, right? No, he had to lower his expectations for me too, because Layla knows I'm difficult. She's seen us together, and I'm the difficult one. She said that we should do a comedy show, Andrew and me, but I don't think so. Um, Look for someone who's selfless. Do they serve others? Do they make time for pouring into their friends? Are they reaching out to other people? Are they involved in Bible studies? Are they involved in community and those kinds of things? Like, those are the things that just show selflessness. Do they keep commitments? Of all of them, this is the hugest, and I think that we overlook this. We think all these other things are more important. But our God is a promise-making and promise-keeping God.
It's true.
If you date someone who can't keep little tiny small commitments, what makes you think that they can commit their whole life to just be with you? So if you date someone,
Too real.
it's true. I mean, when you think about it, like, marriage is just based on a promise.
Yeah.
And when they break small promises, how are they going to keep bigger ones? So all of you right now are practicing for marriage. The
Yeah.
different commitments that you're making. Are you a promise maker and promise keeper? Because that's what someone needs to look at. Do you want me to keep going? Or
Yeah, you keep going through
Okay.
these.
You want, okay,
This was her section, so.
This is where I feel passionate. when they can't pull you up. Or even better yet, who sends you to God, who draws you closer to Jesus. But you need someone who believes in you and who doesn't just critique and criticize all the time and nitpick everything that you do. You need someone who pushes you to have conflict, to deal with things. That's something that Sarah really does for Laurence.
It's real. I'm a conflict
She is
avoider,
a conflict
card
avoider.
carrying.
This girl is like she's not afraid of conflict.
It's like she seeks it out.
Okay. Wasn't gonna say that, but.
If you know, you know.
But yes, she makes him deal with things he just wouldn't deal with because he always just wants to pretend everything is
Yeah, just want to push it down in a little box.
live in harmony.
Yeah, and the reality is that when you actually deal with your problems, you grow and learn and get in a healthier place. Who would have thought? Not lots of us men. We just want to push it down, put it in the box. Anyway.
I was thinking about this today. Just someone who will be with you and take care of you when you're sick.
Yeah.
I mean, like I had the flu over Christmas, and then I kept saying, Andrew, will you bring me some water? And he would just bring me water and food because I just didn't feel like getting out of bed. My friend Andrea, her husband Clint, has colon cancer, and she drives him to chemo and helps him run his business right now while he's sick and seeking treatment. Like, is someone actually going to care about you and love you in sickness and in health? It's easy to love in health. It's a lot harder to love in sickness.
That's real.
Someone who's going to be a good mom or a good dad who's going to help you raise your kids. Are you looking for someone who you love their character and you want them to give that to your kids one day? This person will be the parent of your children if you have kids. That's a really big deal. Someone who's, you don't want someone who's so focused on their looks and so focused on themselves. You want someone who, instead of just, I told Laurence today, I'm like, you want someone who has the same value of money you do. I've watched people who marry someone who is an overspender, who's very materialistic, and they are not, and it causes so much conflict. Instead, look for someone who's generous, someone who has truly laid down their life for other people, who just wants to give and give and give. Does the person you're interested in, do they give in big ways? Okay, and then, will you want someone who has friends? Because let me tell you, when it's just you and your significant other, and you push all your friends away, like that makes a terrible, and I mean terrible marriage. Because there's just things, Andrew will look at me and he's like, how are you on the phone for 2 hours with your friend? And he's like, how? And I'm like, that has so much to say. Because she just gets me in a way that Andrew doesn't. Trust me, Andrew can talk for hours and hours. Too, he is a true Italian expressive, and he can talk for hours and hours. But there's still needs that both of us have that we get in our friendships. And I mean, I think you've experienced that too. Laurence is married to someone who's very social.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I wanted to say here on, like, you want a spouse that has friends because marriage is going to be hard. Like, you guys are going to have conflict, and you want them to have godly counsel in their corner who's going to help them walk through all of this stuff. If you guys are just doing this solo, I don't know how you're going to make it. Like, marriage is hard. And so, yeah, having godly people in both of your courts, it's a game changer. So we've kind of talked about some of these practical things, but we do want to kind of, and this is probably what we'll close with, is just some biblical principles, right? We obviously, you guys may be familiar, dating's kind of a new thing. It didn't exist in the Bible, times of the Bible, so we don't have a single verse on dating specifically, but similar to what Brandon was talking about last week, we have a whole bunch of passages that do kind of give us framing for how to treat people, for how to treat basically all of our relationships. And I think we should apply that to this specific relationship. Does that make sense? So we're going to move quickly through these. The first one is from Philippians, and the principle here is value others above yourself.
Philippians 2.
So specifically verses 3 and 4, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. And honestly, we could just stop here. If you just applied this to every dating relationship, you're going to be in a good place. If you're putting their needs above your needs, you're going to date in a much more careful and cautious way. And dating is not going to be about you getting what you want out of this thing, but about how can I carefully love and bless this other person that I'm going on dates with. Another similar one from John. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you.
John 15.
Yeah, that's good. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Do you want to do that note, or should we keep going?
I just wanted to say that love isn't selfish, and there really is no greater love than someone who lays down their life. And so don't lose your freaking mind and be a selfish idiot when you start dating someone. I mean, have y'all all experienced that? Like the friends who just lose their minds, and then they become so selfish and self-focused that they don't lay down their life for anybody. They just start living just for themselves.
Yeah.
Don't be that person. Make that decision now. You're a follower of Jesus. He doesn't do that. He died for us.
So another one, Genesis 1:27. We are image bearers. We're made in God's image, so treat one another that way. Another one, 1 John 1:5-7. The idea is to live in the light. I'll read this one. This is the message we have all heard from him and declare to you. God is light. In him there is no darkness at all. If we claim to have fellowship with him and yet walk in darkness, we lie and do not live out the truth. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus, his son, purifies us from all sin. Do you want to say that? So yeah, the idea is just be open. Keep things from being a secret. Get lots of advice. There's Proverbs 12, verses 1 and 15, both about getting wisdom. Verse 1 is, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid. Pretty harsh, but real. And then the next one, the way of fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice. We've got 1 Thessalonians 4:3-8 and Ephesians 5:3 that both have similar bents of flee from sexual immorality. I'll just read Ephesians 5:3 for sake of time. And it says, but among you there must be not even a hint of sexual immorality or of any kind of impurity or greed, because these are improper for God's people. So again, we're layering on principles that we're hearing in general, and yes, this definitely applies to dating.
The last one I think is a big deal in our culture. It's out of 2 Corinthians 6:14. Just the idea, I think, of being yoked, who we're yoked to. I think whose sermon was that talked about the little yoke and how
It was Brandon.
Brandon. Well, that was just last week, huh? Wow. It feels like it was ages ago. But while again this isn't a verse on dating, we just don't have any business, even dating as someone who doesn't believe in the Lord. If your faith is that important to you, the person who you're seeking to marry, don't be yoked with someone who isn't going where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember so vividly sitting in Fuzzy's Tacos, because that's one of my places. I do a lot of ministry. Probably 10 years ago, sitting across from a girl, and she was dating someone who wasn't a Christian. And she told me, she's like, Mandy, I'm just having fun. This isn't serious. We're having fun. There's no harm in this. And I'm like, please, no. And we have this whole conversation. And she's like, I'm not going to lose my faith over a guy. Well, they did wind up getting married, and she did wind up losing her faith. And so, guys, I'm just telling you, it just sounds so harsh, but marry someone who
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wanted to add a couple things there. So, worship team, you guys can start making your way on up. But yeah, I want to just read this passage because it is. It's blunt. It says, "Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness?" So again, it sounds very blunt. But those of us who follow Jesus, we are heading in a direction. And we are laying our lives at the foot of the cross. And we can't make a bond with someone who is going in another direction. I think when we're struggling with this one, it's like we're treating Christianity like it's an expansion pack to my life, right? I downloaded this DLC, and now I'm adding on this 10%.
I mean, I relate to this analogy so much.
Hopefully you guys are with me.
An
But
expansion pack? I mean, I got it, Laurence.
she gets it. But it's like, no, I'm adding on this little thing, just like I start working out or caring about this other thing. But that is not what following Jesus is about. Jesus said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me." And so, yeah, I think this kind of expansion pack mentality, I can have my cake and eat it too, it's just not compatible. And I would say the number one reason I've seen peers of mine choose to not follow Jesus has not been because someone gave them a great argument and that just stumped them and they stopped. It's because of relationships. Whether it was an impure relationship that they just wanted to do anyway, and then that just kind of convinced them over the course of time that, they were just stuck between a rock and a hard place. All right, I hold these beliefs, but I want to do this. And what won out is, what do I want to do? Or for other people, it's, well, I believe this, they believe this, but I really like them. And again, I hate saying things like this, but it really is heartbreaking. I skipped over this earlier, but
We
got
got
it.
to do conclusion.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do in conclusion.
'Cause I wanna
Now
say-
you're the one cutting me off.
I know. I was like, wow. But I do want to say, like, wrap it up. Go on dates. Like, let's just not make a date such a big deal where you think someone's just forever and ever romantically interested in you, or that you have to be romantic. So, like, you don't start with just getting to know each other. And I know I would roll my eyes too. I really would. Sitting in your seat, I would be like, Mandy, you're so dumb. But I just really do encourage y'all. Go on some dates and get to know each other. Get lots of advice. Remember, you're a child of God, and so are the people that you're going on dates with.
Yeah.
So, look out for each other. And please, please, please don't let fear just run your life.
Yeah.
We live in the grace of God, and dating is messy. We all make mistakes. Get lots of advice and have people walk along with you, and let's just go and build great marriages and have great families who are out there changing the world. So I love you guys, and I could talk about this for hours, so we're going to end there.
Yeah.